Students, in our previous classes, we have already discussed regarding the percentage method and the geometric method of measurement of price elasticity of demand. Today, we will discuss another method of measurement of price elasticity of demand, that is total expenditure method. How by using the total expenditure method we can calculate the price elasticity of demand, that we will discuss today in this class. Show total expenditure method of measurement of price elasticity of demand. When price of a commodity changes, it causes change in total expenditure incurred on purchase of that commodity. Definitely, when the price of a commodity changes, total expenditure on that commodity also changes. Total expenditure with a change in price of a commodity, total expenditure may increase, may decrease, or may remain constant. So, there is always a change in total expenditure with a change in price of a particular commodity. Total expenditure on a commodity can be calculated by multiplying the quantity purchased of that commodity with its price. So, how we can calculate total expenditure on a commodity? Just by multiplying the quantity with its price, with its price. What is the price of the commodity and how much is purchased? So, that gives rise to total expenditure on that commodity. So, total expenditure on a commodity can be calculated by multiplying the quantity purchased of the commodity with its price. Under expenditure method, the effect of change in price on total expenditure of a commodity is studied. So, what we study in this method? In the total expenditure method, just the effect of change in price on total expenditure of that commodity. With a change in price of a particular commodity, total expenditure of the consumer on it may increase, may decrease, or may remain constant. It means, with a change in the price of a commodity, total expenditure on that commodity may increase, total expenditure on that commodity may decrease, total expenditure on that commodity may remain constant. So, with a change in the price of a commodity, we can face three possible situations with regard to change in total expenditure. So, when the price of a commodity changes, we the people, we the purchasers, we the consumers generally face three possible situations with regard to change in total expenditure. What are they? They are: number one, if with a fall in the price of a commodity, total expenditure increases, and with a rise in the price, total expenditure decreases, then demand for that commodity is greater than unitary elastic, or ED is greater than 1. Here, price of the commodity and total expenditure on it move in opposite direction. So, the first situation is that with a fall in price, when with a fall in price, total expenditure increases, or with a rise in price, total expenditure decreases, then the demand for that commodity is said to be more than 1. It is greater than unitary elastic. It is greater than 1. So, when it is greater than 1, when total expenditure and price of commodity goes in opposite direction, you mark here, with a fall in price, total expenditure increases. With a rise in price, total expenditure decreases. That means the price of the commodity and total expenditure goes just in opposite direction. At that time, we can say that ED is greater than 1, or the demand for the commodity is greater than unitary elastic. So, here price of the commodity and total expenditure on it move in opposite direction. This is the first possible situation. Then the second possible situation is that if rise or fall in price of a commodity results in no change in its total expenditure, or it does not affect total expenditure, then the elasticity of demand is said to be unitary, or ED is equal to 1. What is the second possible situation that we can pass with a change in price on total expenditure? That is, when a rise or fall in price of a commodity results in no change in total expenditure, or Whatever may be the change in price, it may increase, it may decrease, but when total expenditure remains constant, it remains fixed, there is no change in total expenditure, then we will say that ED is equal to 1, or it is the case of unitary elastic demand. This is the second possible situation. Then the third possible situation is, if with a fall in price of a commodity, total expenditure decreases, and with a rise in its price, total expenditure increases market. With a fall in price, total expenditure decreases. With a rise in price, total expenditure increases. So, what happens? What is the case of demand here? What is elasticity? Then demand for that commodity is less than unitary elastic, or ED is less than 1. ED is less than 1 if both the price and total expenditure goes in same direction. They go in same direction, they move in same direction. The price, when the price increases, total expenditure increases. When price decreases, total expenditure decreases. That is the case where elasticity of demand is less than unity, or the case of less than unitary elastic demand. It is less than 1 here. So in this case, price of the commodity and total expenditure on it move in the same direction. They move in the same direction. They go in the same direction. So these are the three cases, three possible cases by a change in price. With a change in price, first one is when price changes in one direction, total expenditure changes in just the opposite direction. It is the case of greater than 1. Your elasticity of demand is greater than 1. When with a change in price, either with an increase in price, or with a decrease in price, or rise or fall in price, total expenditure remains constant, then here elasticity of demand is said to be 1, or it is the case of unitary elastic demand. But if price and total expenditure, they move in the same direction, it means with a fall in price, total expenditure decreases. With a rise in price, total expenditure increases. Then it is the case of less than unitary elastic demand, or ED is less than 1. You see in the following table, the effect of change in price on total expenditure and elasticity of demand is shown. You see, here is the table. In the first column, price per unit of commodity is given. In the second column, quantity demanded, or Q in units, is given. In the third column, total expenditure just by multiplying P and Q is given. And in the fourth column, what is the elasticity of demand that is given, whether it is greater than 1, or equal to 1, or less than 1. You see, price of the commodity goes on falling from 6 rupees to 5 rupees to 4 rupees, 2 rupees 3, rupees 2, and rupees 1 respectively. And with a fall in price from rupees 6 to rupees 1 respectively, quantity demanded increases from 1 unit to 2 units to 3 units, then 4 units, then 5 units, then 6 units. So with a fall in price, quantity demanded increases, no doubt. Then accordingly, the total expenditure is calculated by just multiplying P and Q. You see, when price was 6 rupees per unit, only 1 unit of the commodity was purchased, and the total expenditure becomes 6 rupees. Similarly, with a fall in price to rupees 5 per unit, 2 units were purchased. Total expenditure becomes 5 into 2, that is 10 rupees. With a fall in price to rupees 4, 3 units are purchased. Total expenditure becomes 12 rupees. With a fall in price to rupees 3 per unit, 4 units are purchased. Total expenditure becomes 12 rupees. With a fall in price to rupees 2 per unit, 5 units are purchased. and total expenditure becomes 10 rupees. And at last, with a fall in the price of the commodity to rupee 1 per unit, 6 units of the commodity are demanded or purchased. So the total expenditure at this point is rupees 6. You see, when price was 6 rupees, total expenditure was 6 rupees. When price falls to 5 rupees per unit, total expenditure increases to 10 rupees. Here, with a fall in price from 6 to 5 rupees, total expenditure increases from rupees 6 to rupees 10. Right? But you mark, when price falls to rupees 4, total expenditure becomes 12 rupees. With a fall in the price to rupees 3 per unit, total expenditure is also 12 rupees. Here, with a fall in price, total expenditure remains constant, that is at rupees 12. After that, when the price of the commodity falls to rupees 2 per unit, total expenditure becomes 10 rupees. When it falls to 1 rupee per unit, total expenditure is 6 rupees. Mark just the differences in between. At first, total expenditure increases with a fall in price. So price and total expenditure goes in opposite direction. They move in opposite direction. So as they move in opposite direction, here ED is greater than 1. It is mentioned in the fourth column. Similarly, with a fall in the price from rupees 4 to rupees 3 per unit, total expenditure remains constant at rupees 12. At this moment, ED is equal to 1, or this is the case of unitary elastic demand. After that, when the price of the commodity falls to rupees 2, from rupees 2 to rupees 1, rupee 1 per unit, total expenditure becomes 10 rupees and 6 rupees respectively. It means with a fall in price, total expenditure also fall. There is a fall in total expenditure. So here ED is less than 1. Mark the difference. At first, with a fall in price, total expenditure increases. ED is greater than 1. With a fall in price, total expenditure remains constant. ED is equal to 1. With a fall in price, total expenditure also falls. Then ED is less than 1. Above table shows that when price of the commodity is 6 rupees, the total expenditure is rupees 6. With a fall in price to rupees 5, total expenditure rises to rupees 10. In this case, change in total expenditure in the opposite direction to change in price. This is the situation of greater than unitary elastic demand. Here ED is greater than 1. In the above table, we can see that when price of the commodity falls to rupees 4 and rupees 3 respectively, total expenditure remain constant at rupees 12. The change in price has no effect on total expenditure. This is the case of unitary elastic demand. Here ED is equal to 1. Right? When the price of the commodity falls from rupees 4 to rupees 3, here, show here in the table, see here. So when it falls to rupees 4 and rupees 3 respectively, total expenditure remains constant at rupees 12. So this is the case where ED is equal to 1. After that, when the price of the commodity falls to rupees 2 and rupees 1 respectively, the total expenditure also falls to rupees 10 and rupees 6 respectively. In this case, change in total expenditure in the same direction as the change in the price. This is the case of less than unitary elastic demand, or it is less than 1. The total expenditure method of measuring elasticity of demand is expressed diagrammatically in the figure. So we will see it, we will represent this method in the following diagram. You see here, in the figure or in this diagram, total expenditure is shown on OX axis and price on OY axis, right? AD curve is the total expenditure curve. Mark here, AD curve, the total curve drawn in the diagram, is the total expenditure corp. AB part of AD corp. Mark AB part of AD corp. AB from A to B. It is falling from left to right. AB part of AD corp represents greater than unitary elastic demand. It shows that when price falls from rupees 6 to rupees 5 and rupees 4 respectively, total expenditure increases from rupees 6 to rupees 10 and rupees 12. Right. At first, one price of the commodity was 6 rupees per unit. As 1 unit is only purchased, so total expenditure becomes 6 rupees. Then at 5 rupees, 2 units are purchased, total expenditure becomes 10 rupees. And at 4 rupees per unit of the commodity, 3 units are purchased, so total expenditure is 12 rupees. So up to this point, A to B, this segment mark here, A to B, A, B, downward segment from left to right. This indicates elasticity of demand greater than 1. Your price elasticity of demand is greater than 1. Right. BC part of AD Corp, mark BC part of AD Corp represents unitary elastic demand. Here EP is equal to 1, or you can say ED is equal to 1. It shows that when price falls from rupees 4 to rupees 3, total expenditure remains the same, that is at rupees 12 only. Mark in this part BC. At B, what was the price? Rupees 4. Demand 3 units. So what is total expenditure? 12 rupees. At rupees 3, 4 units are demanded or purchased. Total expenditure is also 12 rupees. So with a fall in the price of the commodity from rupees 4 to rupees 3 per unit, total expenditure remains the same, that is at rupees 12. So here ED is equal to 1, or you can say EP is equal to 1. Then come to the third part, that is CD part. CD part of AD Corp represents less than unitary elastic demand. CD part of AD Corp represents less than unitary elastic demand. It shows that when price falls from rupees 2 to rupee 1 per unit, total expenditure also falls from rupees 10 to rupees 6. Right? It is also mentioned. It is represented in the diagram that AB part indicates EP is greater than 1, BC EP is equal to 1, CD EP is less than 1. When total expenditure increases with a fall in price or falls with an increase in price, ED is greater than 1. When total expenditure remains constant with a change in price, it remains at a fixed price, fixed expenditure, total expenditure becomes constant with a change in price. At that point, EP or ED is equal to 1. But with a further fall in price, if total expenditure also falls, you mark CD's segment, shows it. So with a fall in price, total expenditure falls. It is the case of less than unitary elastic, or we can say EP or ED is equal to less than 1. So these are the 3 possible situations that we can find as the effect on total expenditure with a change in its price, with a change in the price of a commodity. So this is all about how to calculate or measure price elasticity of demand with the help of total expenditure method. Right? So, with this, we will stop our discussion, and in our next class, we will meet again with a new chapter. Till then, goodbye. Thank you all. Have a nice day.